I want to recognize Ohioans this morning, Ann Vogel with the Ohio EPA, who has been on site many times, including, I believe, every time I've been there, and the residents of East Palestine who made the trip, mothers who talked about what this means to their family. They represent Ohioans in this tight-knit town in Columbiana County, which once made 80% of the ceramics in this country, tableware. They produced 80% for the whole country in this community. They've seen their jobs move overseas where companies pay workers less. That's been the story of far too many places in our states. It's the kind of community that's so often forgotten or exploited by corporate America. Now these Ohioans are worried about whether their water is safe to drink, the air is safe to breathe, whether their kids will get sick, whether their crops are contaminated, whether they'll still be able to do business and attract investment to the community. Like Senator Vance, in my visits to East Palestine, I've talked with residents, Mayor Conway, Fire Chief Drabick, business owners, parents. I've heard their fears for what this means for their town and fears for the future. All because a big corporation, Norfolk Southern, chose to invest much of its massive profits in making its executives and shareholders wealthy at the expense of Ohio communities along its rail tracks. East Palestine, Steubenville, Sandusky, and just a week ago, Springfield. The company followed the Wall Street business model. Boost profits by cutting costs at all costs. The consequences for places like East Palestine be damned. In 10 years, Norfolk Southern eliminated 38% of its workforce. Think of that. In a decade, they cut more than a third of their jobs. We've seen what the company did with their massive profits. Norfolk Southern spent $3.4 billion on stock buybacks last year, and we're planning to do even more this year. That's money that could have gone to hiring inspectors, to putting more hot box detectors along its rail lines, to having more workers available to repair cars and repair tracks. Norfolk Southern's profits have gone up and up and up, and look what happened. The NTSB is conducting a special investigation in Norfolk Southern and its culture, investigating 5 significant accidents since December of 2021, including 3 accidents that resulted in the death of a Norfolk Southern employee. If Norfolk Southern had paid a little more attention to safety and a little less attention to its profits, it cared a little more about the Ohioans along its tracks and a little less about its executives and shareholders, these accidents would not have been as bad or maybe not happened at all. Just this week in Cleveland, a Norfolk Southern conductor and BLT union member was killed on the job. Lewis Schuster was the proud father of a 16-year-old son. It's Norfolk Southern's responsibility to keep its workers safe on the job, but this company has failed to do its job over and over and over. When I talk with Ohioans about what they want to see from this company in response to the disaster in East Palestine, I hear 2 things. First, Norfolk Southern must pay the money for every cent of the cleanup. As you've all said, every water test, every hotel room, every bottle of water, every hospital bill. If an Ohioan comes down sick, Ohioan is sick because of the contaminants, next week, next year, for the next several years. We know this company can afford it. My colleague, Senator Vance, and I, and our Ohio delegation members of both parties have come together to make these demands of Norfolk Southern. Today, Ohioans expect to hear a firm commitment from this company's CEO that it will pay whatever it costs for as long as it takes to make this community whole. Second, Ohioans want assurances, as I think you all do, that this will not happen again. They have every right to be scared. On Saturday evening, just a month after the company's disaster in East Palestine, another Norfolk Southern train derailed in Springfield, Ohio. This time, the cars that derailed weren't carrying hazardous chemicals, but other cars on that 200-plus car train were. The only thing that saved Ohioans from another disaster was luck, but we need more than that. That's why Senator Vance and I have come together to introduce our Bipartisan Railway Safety Act to make trains safer as they go through community after community. It shouldn't take a train derailment for elected officials to put partisanship aside and work together for the people whom we serve, not corporations like Norfolk Southern. Lobbyists for the rail companies have spent years fighting every effort to strengthen rules to make our trains and our rail lines safer. Now Ohioans are paying the price. If this company is serious in its commitment to preventing more East Palestines in Ohio and across the country, I hope today that Mr. Shaw, as Senator Casey said so emphatically, I hope today Mr. Shaw will endorse our common sense bipartisan plan. Senator Vance and I come from different parties, different philosophies, but on this, we've come together for the people of our state, and I appreciate his work on this. The response to this crisis has been far too partisan, as Senator Mullen said. Today is an opportunity to change that. Senator Vance and I are listening to the same Ohioans in this community. We both made numerous trips there, people who feel like they have no way to stand up to a company like Norfolk Southern and are worried about what will happen when the cameras pack up and leave that Columbiana County community. These communities have been abandoned too many times before. My job, our job, is to hear their voice and to demand corporate accountability to bring this town back to the vibrant community we know that it can be again. Thank you, Mr. Chair.